What's up, everybody? It's your boy French Cooking. Welcome back to the channel, and this is Make Beats for Free on MPC. Today's free VST is called Saxophia by either Fanan or Fanan, or I don't know, man. Now, out of all instruments, a good saxophone is among the hardest to find. Saxophia is probably the best VST2 that I've been able to find for free. Is it the most realistic sounding saxophone? No. But if you drown it in reverb, not many people will know the difference. Make that sax wet as boy. Spit on that thing. Obviously, the best thing to do if you want a saxophone in your beat is to A, hire a sax player, or B, use a sample. But sometimes you want to make your own melody, right? So that's what I'm going to attempt to do today. Hopefully it turns out dope. Let's get it. Not quite sure what vibe I'm going for today, so I'm going to start out at my standard 100 BPM. I have my little Rhodes pulled up, literally little. Just going to mess around with some chords to lay down my foundation for the beat. Just like I normally do whenever I have a Rhodes playing, I like to layer that with a piano in the background. So I pulled up the Intimate Grand Piano in Labs. I'm using the exact same chords, and I also have these bass notes down here. No effects on that, just an EQ to take out the low end. Now I really want to set the ambiance for this beat, so I'm going to add a pad to the background. I have my Tube Synth plugin pulled up, which is not free, but I wanted to show the plugin anyways because I actually altered the pad a little bit. This is what it sounds like normally. But I want it to sound a little bit more R&B, so to do that, I can go back to my plugin and I can add glide to it by selecting glide all. Now I can mess around with the glide time. I could just pull it up here, let's say to 201. Now, like I said, it has a little bit more of an R&B feel to it because it's like a little bit more sad, melancholic, and it just sounds a little bit nicer. Now I can lay down my sax and really set the mood for this beat. So let me make the GUI just a little bit bigger. Okay, doesn't really make a difference, but it is what it is. So I'm using the Soho Club preset. This is what it sounds like. I'm just gonna mess around a little bit and see what pattern I can come up with. Okay, that came out nice. I like it. It's kind of got like that police TV drama series vibe to it, like NYPD Blue. Anyway, so yeah, I have a compressor on it. And as I was mentioning in the intro, I put on a lot of reverb. So ValhallaSupermassive, if you don't have it, go out and get it. It's one of my largest, richest sounding reverb effect plugins that I have. So I just selected the Bright Room preset, which is a reverb preset, and I left it at 50%. Okay, now it's time to establish the bounce of this beat. And I started out not really knowing what direction I was going to take it in. I kind of thought I was going to go in a West Coast R&B direction. That's why I went to 100 BPM. But in my head, I'm hearing like an Afrobeats bounce. It's been a while since I made an Afrobeats beat, and I don't quite remember how to do the drums, to be honest, but that could be an advantage because I could come up with something pretty unique as long as I'm not all over the place. But I do know that I need to load up a bunch of drum sounds, perks, tambourines, rims, all that stuff. So I'm going to start there. Okay, so here's my drum program. And as promised, I have a whole bunch of sounds that I think would sound good in an Afrobeats beat. So I have kick, rim, a bongo, some kind of percussion, a tom, a shaker, drum fill. I have a bunch of toms that are tuned to a different pitch and panned either to your left ear or to your right ear because I'm going to create a tom fill. this little ambient effect, an impact, whoops,
this is French cooking,
and a hi-hat. I think that should do the trick. Bass is customary in Afro beats because I'm not going to have an 808, so I need it to really liven up the low end and add power to the beat. Couple finishing touches, I added a bell, which is just a one shot that I had as like a top line melody. And then finally a string from Pneuma Pro. It's the ST Cinematic 02 preset. I add a string to the large majority of my beat, like 80% of my beats, especially in the chorus section. I just find it to be underrated. It adds a lot of texture. I try not to overdo it if there's a lot going on in the melody. For instance, here I just have 2 notes, but for me, it's a must-have. You know the drill. Let's hear it all together, minus the bell. I don't normally make these kind of like sad melodic R&B, Afrobeats type of beats, but I really like the way that this turned out, and it really goes to show you that sometimes you gotta let the sound and the feeling guide you rather than have preconceived notions of where you need to go. That said, I hope you like the beat. I'm gonna arrange it now and play it at the end of the video, and I'll have another video waiting for you next week. Until then, keep producing, baby!